Hello, everybody, and welcome to Anatomy of a Video with Richard Dietz and Aaron Weiss. We're going to be getting going here. Going to make a quick announcement that we are recording the webinar, and so if you don't want to be on the recording, then don't type anything into the chat or ask any questions, and you can stay completely hidden from view, and nobody will know. We will be making a download of the video recording as well as the slide deck available later on today or by tomorrow morning for sure on both of our blogs. So you'll be able to get those as well. So hopefully you're here tuning into Anatomy of a Video with Aaron and Richard. If not, then you might as well just stay anyways and enjoy the video. So just to make sure everything's working properly, if you can hear me well and you can see the PowerPoint presentation there on the screen, if you can just type really quickly into the chat box there, yes, or let's go, or type something in there just so I can make sure that people are actually alive and breathing and paying attention there. That would be fabulous. And you should be able to see a chat box in your little GoToWebinar window over on the right-hand side of your screen. There's a little orange arrow that you can use to expand that window if you need to. Okay, we'll go ahead and get going here. I will get the presentation into full presentation view here so we can see that. Okay, we'll do quick introductions here. I'll let Aaron go ahead and go first.
Welcome, everybody. My name is Aaron Weiss. I am the owner-operator of One Story Productions, and I'll tell you a little bit more about our company a little later.
Hi, I'm Richard Dietz from Nonprofit R&D, and I'm basically a consulting firm here working with nonprofits on technology issues, and we do a little bit of everything from online video to SEO to email marketing, website development, all of that. And we got a lot of material to go over today, so we'll just kind of jump into it, and we will have time at the end for questions and answers. The first thing I want to do is give you a link to a video that we're going to be watching later in the presentation, and that is going to be over on YouTube. There is a link right here. There is also, if you can't find it there, you can also search for Right at Home Galveston, and the video is right on their homepage. But I put this in the chat box. I can actually go ahead and put it in there again just to make sure everybody has it. And if you go to that video right now, go to that link and start playing the video, and then pause it once it starts playing, then we'll let that download as we talk about a couple of other things. And then we'll come back to that, and it should be fully downloaded, and we'll be able to play that. We're going to give you about 4 minutes to watch that right before we go into breaking down that video kind of step by step. So just want to get you going on that right now, and while you're doing that, we're going to continue on with the presentation. So the agenda, what are we going to talk about today? We are going to talk about, actually, Aaron, can you talk about the agenda real quick? I think there might be something going on with the chat box. So I was going to go jump over and look at that really quick. So if you can just talk through what we're going to talk about here, that'd be great.
Sure thing. We're going to start with the why online video, why you should be interested and want to start using online video. Then we're going to go into a little bit of how to get started and initial steps and kind of strategy and planning and initial ways to edit and resources to be able to get started with that strategy and planning before you actually get into the meat of it. Then we're going to kind of go into the anatomy of the video and break down a video that we've created for a local company and kind of talk about step-by-step the sections and elements that kind of go into that video. And then afterwards we're going to give you guys some tools and resources and how to get started and implement everything, and then we'll give you guys a chance to ask some questions and give you guys an opportunity to be able to get started.
Okay, looks like, Aaron, we're having a problem with the chat box. I just got a email and stuff from folks that said they cannot see the chat box. It's coming up on my other computer that I'm testing with here, but if other people can't see it, I just enabled a new box called Questions. You might be able to see if that shows up, where you can type in, okay, and it looks like some people are saying the questions are now showing up or the chat box is now showing up. I had to raise, David said I had to raise and lower my hand to get the chat box to show up. So if folks want to try that, please try that.
Nice.
If you look at your name in the list on the control panel, there's a little hand with an arrow on it. Go ahead and raise your hand and lower your hand, and apparently the chat box will start showing up then. I apologize for that technical difficulty there.
So
hopefully Aaron just, go ahead.
Go ahead. I just included that YouTube link again. I don't know if it had it from before, but if you guys would click on that YouTube link and start the download of that video, so when we get to that section, you'll be able to play fully in full.
Okay, and I also just put the URL into the question box. So hopefully, even if you can't see the chat box, you can see the question box, and hopefully you can get the URL there. If not, don't worry about it. I think you'll still get a lot from the webinar. Even if you don't watch the video. The other option is, like I said, just go to Google and type in RAH Galveston, and you should come up with the Right at Home Galveston homepage, and they do have the video right on their homepage, so you'll be able to watch that there, and we'll go over that again once we get to that part of the video. So sorry about that and for the confusion on the technical difficulty there. Okay, so the next slide here is probably going to date me a little bit, but when I was a kid, my favorite show in the whole world was Different Strokes with Gary Coleman, and his tagline during that was "What you talking about, Willis?" And so this is kind of a slide I always put up because it's a pet peeve of mine of technology folks that once they get up and start speaking to an audience, they start using all these big words and acronyms and all this techno jargon, and no one in the audience has any idea what they're talking about, and they're afraid to raise their hand and ask a question. So Aaron and I try really hard to not use any jargon or acronyms without defining them, but if we ever do, just raise your hand or type it in the question box or the chat box and pretty much call us on it, and we'll go back and explain what that is. So that is that. Next slide. Always look for what's working. So this is something that's really important to me, is that I don't just look at other nonprofits, and I think Aaron does the same thing. We don't just look at nonprofits for what's working or what's not working. We look everywhere. We do look at other nonprofits, but we look a lot at the business world. And the reason we look at the business world is because they have billions and trillions of dollars to spend on research and evaluation and all of these things that they could look into, and they come up with some great results on social psychology and consumer behavior and all of that, and a lot of that is really applicable to the nonprofit world. So we take kind of what we see in the business world, apply it to how nonprofits can use that. I also use a lot from the internet marketing realm. And that's everything from the get-rich-quick schemes to, Amazon and just selling things on eBay. And the reason I look at internet marketing folks is because they do a really good job at testing. They test everything. They test subject lines. They test headlines. They test price points. And then they talk about this testing in their internet marketing forums. And so I glean a lot of information from there. And the third place I get a lot of my ideas from is infomercials. If you've ever heard of the ShamWow, it's an amazing product that they sell on TV at late night, and it's a little squeegee cloth, and one of these cloths can soak up an entire gallon of milk. And I'm an infomercial junkie. I will sit there and watch them pretty much all night long. I don't ever buy anything, but I learn a lot from them. And they're really good. Again, they do a lot of research and a lot of study into how people behave. And they build campaigns that get people excited. They use a lot of visuals. They use, it's all infomercials. It's on video. And they use a lot of testimonials. They use a lot of personal connection. And a lot of stuff we're going to be talking about today, infomercials are really good at doing and making you want to buy that product. And so Aaron and I grab a lot of lessons from there as well. So why online video? We won't spend too much time on this, but we're definitely going to go a little bit about why you should be doing online video. And one of the main reasons we're doing this is we did have a couple folks when they registered, they typed into the "why are you not using video?" A couple folks said, "I'm not sure if we should. I'm not sure if it's very effective, or I'm not sure if it's the right thing to do." So we just wanted to cover that a little bit before we move on. The first thing to say is it's more affordable and easier than ever. I mean, now all you need is a flip cam and a YouTube account, and you can pretty much have video on your website within minutes. It's so easy to do, and we'll talk a little bit about the tools on how you can do that in a moment. It is super effective. So Aaron and I have both had clients that have had really good results from video, but those are smaller kind of anecdotal evidence. So looking at ways to show that it's effective. The Wharton School of Business did an amazing study where they showed that having video integrated into their marketing increased their effectiveness by 600%. So again, that is a business example, but I think directly applicable, and we're going to show you kind of some of the reasons why. Another great reason that you should be doing online video is it's a fabulous way to tell your story. And what that means is it's a way to get people to listen to you. It's a way to get people to learn more about your organization and really hear about what your mission is, what makes your organization tick, why it's special. And video can tell that story way better than print ever could. And I think the example video we're going to show today is going to show you just that. It's also a great way to create a personal connection. And what we mean by this is that people love personal stories, individual stories. They want to hear about Mary and Joe and how they're affected by your organization and how they've been helped. And it's been proven that emotion gets people to take action. We're going to talk in a little bit about one of my favorite authors, Dan Ariely, who's a social economist, and he does a lot of studies on social behavior and how that affects economic decisions. And he talks a lot about when people make a decision to purchase or to donate, they'll make that decision based on emotion first, and then they'll justify it after the fact. And so how this plays out is, the new iPad 2 comes out, and you're like, oh my gosh, I've got to have that iPad 2. It's so cool. And you go out and you buy it, and then you spend the next 5 days convincing yourself why it was a good purchase, because it's faster, it's going to make my life easier, I'm going to be able to check email wherever I'm at, and you come up with those rational reasons, but it's really the emotion that got you to make that purchase. And online donations and fundraising can key on those exact same triggers. So we're going to talk about how to use that emotion and really get people to whip out their wallet and give you their money. So here is, I mentioned Dan Ariely on the previous slide. There's a URL to his website down there. Like I said, he's a social economist, I guess is what you would call him. But he does a lot of studies into human behavior and especially on economic decisions. And one of the things that he talked about in a presentation that I saw him do was the mismatch between how much money was raised for an issue and the number of people affected by that issue. And so if you look at this little graph over here, it's really interesting to see that AIDS and malaria are two of the absolute biggest problems in the world, and they're raising the least amount of money if you're looking at funding in the millions. And then you look at what's raising the most money, it was Hurricane Katrina and at this time 9/11. And there's a tons of reasons of why that may happen, but a couple that we wanted to point out was, one, think about the stories you have around these issues. If you think about malaria, do you have a story in your head? Do you have a visual image in your head of what the problem is? I mean, you can maybe think that there's people and they need mosquito nets, and there's maybe some children and they're getting bit. But then if you think about Katrina and 9/11, think about the individual stories and the images that are in your head. I mean, when I think 9/11, I immediately see the Twin Towers, and I see a plane hitting them, and I see smoke coming out, and I see people on the rooftop, and it's just very powerful images. Online video can help make that connection much stronger. And then the individual stories. With Katrina, it was interviews of people that were devastated by it and people that were stuck in the Superdome, and it was those individual stories that made it real and really gets that emotional connection and gets people to want to donate. So basically what we want to say here is individual stories are always more effective than talking about things in aggregate. And Aaron's going to talk a little bit about that when he breaks down the video that we're going to talk about. And obviously video can do this a lot easier, like I talked about, those powerful images.
Next, we have YouTube and how it relates to your online video. I mean, YouTube is the #2 search engine next to Google, and Google owns YouTube, so now they're kind of an unstoppable force. There are about 3 billion page views per day. And every minute there's about 48 hours of video uploaded. And to kind of give you an idea, the #1 watched YouTube video of all time is a Justin Bieber music video that has over 500 million views. And to give that some kind of reference, there was about 111 viewers of the Super Bowl. And so more than 4 times the viewers watching Justin Bieber videos. And that could be just the young teenage girls clicking play over and over again. But either way, there's an audience out there for you to take advantage of. There's 2.9 billion hours of YouTube in a month. That's over 325,000 years of continuous video, and 490 million unique users worldwide. And people containing links in their tweets, there's 400 tweets per minute with YouTube links, and 179 million watched online video in 2010. So it's definitely an outlet for you if you're able to take advantage of it for your organization or for your specific individual videos as well.
Excellent. And it's definitely one of those things that's growing more and more every day. YouTube is doubling and tripling all of these numbers every couple months now. It's just going up astronomically. So you really want to get out in front of that tidal wave. You don't want to be the organization that doesn't have videos. You want to be the one that has videos out there for people to view and do all that. So. Okay, so getting started with online video. So we're going to go over some basics of how you can get started with online video before we get down into the video breakdown.
Depending on what you're trying to accomplish and who you're trying to reach, there are longer, more complex videos that can work for your cause. But I had a film teacher in college, my favorite professor, who used to say this every time. He would be critiquing our films and giving us a really honest critique. It's just, he kept saying, "Keep it simple, stupid." And powerful videos these days are very often under 2 minutes long, and especially with attention span these days, and links on the side of the videos and other opportunities to get distracted. Keeping these simple and short, keep your viewers engaged and give them more of a likelihood to send it on to other people who will watch your video and be engaged as well. Try to focus on one main topic or one main character or a person or a lesson or a testimonial. It's easier to get excited and again pass it on to people if it's more focused on one idea or subject or issue.
Yeah, and in many cases, if you wanted to get more content in there, sometimes it might be a better idea to break it up into smaller videos. So you almost make like a video series about a certain topic. So if it's we want to follow the story of Mary, break it up into 2 or 3 minute videos talking about Mary over the course of a couple months. And it's going to be a really cool story to kind of see how it progresses over time. But it also gives people a reason to come back to your site or come back to your YouTube channel and watch the next video in the series. So it's another way to keep them a little shorter and break them up. The next section is online video basics. Is basically you don't want to just jump into online video before you have some real basic fundamentals set up first. So the first thing you always want to ask is, what are you hoping to accomplish with online video? You got to be thinking about what it is you want to accomplish and how you're going to go about that. There's going to be some questions that Aaron's going to be talking about in the strategy and planning section. We're going into it next, but you want to start everything with that question. What are you hoping to accomplish? Is it to get more traffic to your website? Is it to increase funding? Is it to get people to know more about your organization? Know what that is as you create the video, so you know who the audience is, who you're targeting, how long it should be, all of that stuff. This is one of my really, really big pet peeves is you need sound fundamentals first. And I think this goes for online video and it also goes for social media. And that is you need to have a clean, functional website, a website that makes sense, that is easy to navigate, that people can find, can get around in. You need to have a way to capture email addresses. Social media is the big thing right now. It's all the rage, but email is still the most effective fundraising mechanism for most organizations, at least online. So you want to be capturing that email address. Once you capture the email address, you're able to follow up with them on a regular basis, let them learn more about your organization. There is a saying in the business community that it takes up to 7 touches before somebody is willing to buy your product. Now, this isn't a pack of gum. If it's a larger type product, it takes up to 7 touches, and touches can be phone calls, emails, advertisements, whatever it is. I think the same thing is true with nonprofit organizations. Someone's not going to come to your website, and the very first time they ever get there, they're going to pull out their wallet and donate. They're going to want to learn a little bit more about you. So if you don't capture the email address, you're just hoping that they'll come back and learn more about your organization. If you can follow up with them proactively, you're going to get those 7 touches in and be much more likely to get that donation. You need a simple donation or contact process. And what that means is basically, can somebody come to your website and figure out how to donate? I'm always surprised when I first start working with many clients how difficult it is to figure out how to donate online. Where's the donate button? It's buried under, how to support us or help us or something like that. You got to make that a really easy process. And again, coming down to what that most wanted response is or that call to action. You'll hear us talk about these two things. Mainly we'll call it a call to action, but everything you do should have a call to action. We're going to talk about that in the video that Aaron's going to show us, but in emails, in letters, in web pages, anything you do should have some sort of call to action, something that you want them to do. And that doesn't have to be donate every time. That could be something as simple as like us on Facebook, tell a friend about us, watch this video. But you want them to take some action. You don't want people to be passive while they're looking at your content. Otherwise, you're not getting them to really accomplish anything. So that's very key. The other thing you want to think about is who's your voice. This is definitely individual by individual decision, or organization by organization. Should it be an individual within the organization, like the executive director or the fundraising coordinator, or something like that? Should it be the organization as a whole, or do you have multiple voices? I think Aaron and I both prefer to hear multiple people speaking for your organization. It gives people a better insight in the organization, from people that are, in the trenches doing the work, have a very different perspective than the, vice president of development or, something of that nature. So, we prefer to see multiple organizations or multiple voices if at all possible. And the first place to look is with your staff. There's going to be some people on your staff. They're going to be, very hidden, quiet future videographers, and they're going to love an opportunity to grab some video cameras and start collecting footage for you all. So ask your staff, and I think you'll be surprised how many people will raise their hand and say that they'd really like to be involved in this. It's kind of a fun thing, and everyone's doing it, so you might as well use that, at least interest that you have within the organization.
Next is strategy and planning, and how you use the video, and what are you trying to accomplish with this specific video. And are you trying to raise money directly for a cause? Are you trying to gain volunteers? And whatever you're trying to do, you have to keep that in mind throughout the process of strategy and planning, and especially production. What is the end result of the video? Where is it going to be shown? Who's going to see it? I mean, if it's specifically for web, then it's going to help in some of the equipment that you might use, or some other decisions that you make down the line. If it's going to be shown at an event where you already have a captive audience, you're able to make the video a little bit longer. You could do it, somewhere between 5 and 7 minutes if you have a captive audience. But if it's going to be shown directly on the web, you might want to keep it between 2 and 5 minutes because of attention spans and people getting distracted. What tools will you need to move forward? Tools can also be your assets or people that will be involved in the piece. If you're planning to interview a few key people within the organization, what footage will you need to help represent what they're saying, and what else will you need to move into the production phase? And then your call to action is very important. It usually comes at the end of your video. It can be spread throughout the video, but keeping in mind what you want them to do and what action you want them to do because of watching the video. It's something to keep in mind throughout the planning and strategy parts of this. Production is from when you start picking up a camera and start recording. That's the production phase. What's your timeline for your shoot? What questions do you need answered before you start production, and what questions are you going to ask the people you interview? It all helps to shape and kind of encapsulate the video from all angles. And instead of scripting necessarily, you can kind of pick your assets and the people involved and the questions you ask them will help shape the video and script it in a sense. And what list of shots do you need based off of the interviews that you acquire? And you're always going to want to shoot more than what you need, because in editing you can refine it and try and get it more brief, the better. I mean, it's all going to help the end result and the final product of the video if you have more footage than you think you need. And again, your call to action is something you need to keep in mind and make sure you capture during production, and making sure that's that's definitely in the video that you're creating. And last is have fun. It definitely shows. If it's a stiff, rigid video, I mean, even if it's about a serious topic, you can still have a fun, upbeat, high-paced, high energy approach to it. And if you're having fun, then most likely the audience will see that, and they'll have fun watching it as well.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, no one wants to watch a boring, monotone video of you talking about your organization. It's really not going to get people to watch to the end of the video. In fact, one of the analytics that Aaron and I look at when we use online video for a client is Google Analytics has a key indicator called time on page. And what we do is we'll look at the analytics for a page that has a video on it, and if it's a 3-minute video and the time on page is 1 minute, we know there's something wrong with that video, that people are not watching it to its completion. And so we need to go in and fix something there. If the time on page is 3 minutes or longer, then we know that people are watching the entire video. So if you're not using Google Analytics, you definitely should be. And we're going to talk about that a little later on as one of the tools that we highly recommend. But just wanted to throw that out there while we were looking at the production. The next slide is editing. And there's a reason we had me talk about editing and not Aaron. And that's because Aaron is a professional videographer. He plays in editing software all day long. He thinks it's the easiest thing since sliced bread. I'm not an editor. I've never been a video editor. I've just kind of learned as I've gone along. And so we have me talking about editing because it's a more real-world example. This is probably the area that freaks people out the most. Most people are fine picking up a camera and doing some filming and shooting it and then using the USB port on their computer to download it, but then they don't know what to do from there. And so two things that I'd say about it. One, there's two versions of videos you can do. One is a no-edit version, and some people will call this the guerrilla video, and it's basically somebody holding a handheld camera and walking around the office and interviewing people about your event that's coming up or your project that's coming up, and just uploading those straight to YouTube. No editing at all. It's kind of on the scene type footage, and a lot of people like those types of videos. It's kind of real. It is just real. It feels like it's authentic and real. It's not polished. People aren't rehearsing their answers, and there's not cool animations and all this stuff going on. So that's one type of video that you could start doing just right away. Doing interviews and testimonials and things like that, and just upload them. When I talk about fancy, I talk about actually getting into the editing software now, and that's adding in graphics and transitions and music and all of that stuff. There's great software available now that makes this available for all of us. Even me, who's never edited before, up until just about a year ago, I started playing around with some editing software. So a couple that we recommend that we know people will have available to them. If you have a Mac, you have iMovie is included with all Mac computers, and that's very easy software to use. There's some great video tutorials within iMovie that you can watch there. If you have a PC, you can use Windows Movie Maker 2011, and if it's not currently installed on your computer, you can go download it for free from Windows or from the Microsoft website. Just search for Windows Movie Maker 2011 and you'll get the download, and you basically just download it, install it, and it's a great program for doing editing. You can do transitions and music and slide effects and all kinds of amazing stuff. There's also some online video editing software. The one I was recommending was jcut.com, although just before this webinar I went to the URL to make sure it was still available and free, and it turns out that they were just purchased by another company, and it looks like they're on hold right now. So jcut may not work when you first go to see it now, and I'll try and see if I can find some alternatives that are online by the time we post the slides up on our site. But the online one's nice because you don't have to download any software. You can just upload your video, and then you can do all the transitions and all of that stuff. And what I say on the editing is get one of these programs and just start using it. Test, experiment, have fun with it. If you don't want to do it yourself, see if there's someone on your staff that, again, wants to be a videographer, and they would love to go learn a new software program on how to edit video. And, they'll probably make some really bad video with some horrible transitions, and the more they practice, the better it'll get. And the last thing is when to know when you should outsource to a professional. I'm going to let Aaron talk about that a little bit, since he is the professional.
Editing seems to take a little more. There's a little steeper learning curve than say shooting. I have a few clients that I've trained some of their members of their staff to be able to shoot efficiently footage at the events, or even just interviews or anything that they want captured. And through lessons learned, they can since these staff are going to be at these events and are always present at the organization's functions, they can easily have a camera there. But then it's a little steeper learning curve for the editing, and so sometimes they'll pass the footage to me that they've shot to kind of edit and put together in a coherent manner that they can then put on their site or YouTube or anything, Twitter, Facebook, to kind of get the word out there. And it's not impossible to learn this more professional software. There's just a little steeper learning curve.
Excellent. And the last thing on how to do video is the hosting. Another thing that confuses folks, or is kind of a hurdle to get over. We recommend just starting with YouTube. It's free to get a YouTube channel. It's easy to use. They've made it so it's easy for pretty much anybody to use. You can upload your video, grab your embed code, which is that little code there. You paste that on your website or blog, and your video is playing on your website. And YouTube handles all of the the hosting of it and the cost of hosting that, so it's free for you. You can also get a YouTube channel, which means a place you can hold all of your videos, and you can brand that channel with your logo and your colors and all of that stuff. If you're a nonprofit, YouTube has a great program. If you go to youtube.com/nonprofit or nonprofits, I believe, you can apply for the YouTube nonprofit program, and what they do is they give you a free business level account, which allows you to do some extra things that most people have to pay for. You can add links into your videos, you can add annotations into your videos, so you can do a lot of cool advanced stuff. So we highly recommend going and applying for that program right away. The other thing YouTube gets you is extra promotion. They're going to be putting your video out there, and people can find it on YouTube. And since Google owns YouTube, Google also ranks YouTube videos very high in the search engines. In fact, there was a study done by Forrester Research, and they found that a video uploaded to YouTube had a 50 times better chance of getting ranked on the first page of Google than a content page, than a written content page. So video 50 times more likely to get on the first page of Google. So if that's not a reason to be doing video, I don't know what is. It's going to be a much easier way for people to find you and your organization. So now we get into the very weird part of this webinar. What we're going to tell you to do is go to this URL and go watch the video. It's about a 3-minute, 48-second video. We have the URLs in the chat box. Hopefully you all can see it there. I'll also put it in the question box. I think I put it in the question box already. But go watch the video. We're going to wait about 4 minutes now to give you a chance to watch that, and I'll stop talking. Aaron and I might still talk to each other, but you don't need to listen to us. Just listen to the video. Go ahead and go. If you have any problems, type it in the chat box or the question box, and we will try and help you. Okay. Looks like we have a lot of people typing in done, done, done into the question box there, so that is good. We'll give it a couple more seconds just in case somebody had a slow internet connection. Okay, looks like we have most people done. So we'll go on. If you didn't have a chance to finish it, you can go ahead and watch it again at the end of the presentation. And we have the URL right here in the document, so you can go back and watch that again and again if you want to go over the slides once more. But I'll have Aaron go ahead and start into the video breakdown.
So this is a film we created for a company called Right at Home. They obviously offer in-home health care and assistance for anybody, not just the elderly, but anybody who needs assistance and a caretaker. This specific owner, Kristen, she has locations in Houston, Galveston, and Austin, and she has this video posted on the front page of her site. You can see here, and so anybody who comes to her site has an opportunity to watch this video, and we've done a few case studies, and it's people are more likely to watch a video than they are necessarily to read a whole page of just text and information. We gave this business a human and a relatable face, so people can get a feel for what they actually do. These days, people Google you and want to meet you before they actually meet you in person. Now, they'll either look you up on Facebook or LinkedIn and kind of want to see your background and where you're coming from before you actually have a meeting with them. And she put this on the front page of her website so all her locations can see who she is. This has helped her potential clients get a feel for the organization before they schedule an initial meeting with her. And she's the one who always goes out to meet these new clients. And so now they feel like they can kind of already know her before she comes out and talks to them about their needs for care.